Putin blew up Russia's natural gas pipeline to Europe. Now, why would Putin do something like that? Well, they told us because he's evil. Putin is so evil that he murdered his own country's economy purely for the dark thrill of doing it. That's evil. It takes a bad man to declare war against himself. Next, Putin will be invading Moscow. So that was their story, the story the Biden administration told us. And then every single news organization in the country, with no exceptions at all, backed up the lie. Of course Putin did it. They lectured us. Don't ask questions or you're a Russian agent. There was for a moment a perfectly united front of falsehood on the question of what happened to Nord Stream. But it wasn't enough. The story was too absurd to stand, even by the standards of 2023. Anyone who thought about it for even a moment realized that, of course, Vladimir Putin didn't blow up his own pipeline. Why would he do that? The Biden administration blew up Vladimir Putin's pipeline. Of course. Joe Biden himself had promised on camera that he would do it, and then Biden officials publicly celebrated after it happened. So every rational person knew the truth. So after a few months, the people who lie for a living decided to make up a news story. Unfortunately, this one was even dumber and less believable. Okay, they conceded. Putin didn't do it. That was wrong, we'll admit it. It was not Putin who blew up the pipeline. It was the Ukrainians. But not the Ukrainians you're familiar with, the ones who are getting billions of American tax dollars every month. No. Not our Ukrainian friends. They would never do that. It was Ukrainians we've never met. It was rogue Ukrainians acting against Russia, but with no connection to the Biden administration whatsoever. These are good people fighting for a noble cause, but doing it entirely on their own without our assistance or knowledge. That's what the New York Times told us actually happened. And then everybody swallowed it. Watch CNN.
In a separate but parallel story, we've been learning more, Kate, about the Nord Stream attack. You remember the Nord Stream pipeline back in September saw an explosion, a sabotage effort. It is the subject of an ongoing investigation by German authorities. According to New York Times report, they say that they believe that, according to sources, it may have been perpetrated by a group aligned with the aims of Kyiv, but not actually backed by Kyiv, not run by Kyiv, an independent group acting on its behalf and in its name.
Totally independent. Now imagine if you found yourself repeating something that ridiculous on television. Here you have an explosion, a three-part explosion that was part of a deep-sea operation in the Baltic Sea, 300 feet underwater, that happened at exactly the moment that NATO war games were going on in the area. So you would think that there was probably some involvement from a military somewhere. But no, says the lady on the TV, repeating the New York Times. It was a shadowy, unnamed group of totally independent Ukrainians who happen to live in a country that the Biden administration runs and whose pensions are being paid for by you. Right, totally independent. Does anyone really believe that? Does a single human being, including the hair hats repeating it, actually believe that? No. And that's the thing about so many of these lies. You don't believe them, but you're not special. Nobody believes them, even the people repeating them. And nowhere is that more true than on the question of the